Hello, my name is Danielle Davis, and I am the Tech and Telecom Policy Counsel for the Multicultural Media and Telecom Internet Council, more commonly known as MMTC. I would like to thank the Information for All Working Group on information accessibility for their invitation to present on AI policy and ethics. In my presentation, I will discuss AI and its role in society and the legal and ethical implications it presents to Black and other marginalized communities. Because at the end of the day, today, AI is everywhere in society. Sometimes it's fairly obvious, and other times it's hidden under the covers. AI can help us request rides. It can help us make our online purchases possible. It determines what you see on your social media feed and what movies and shows your streaming app recommends for you. When that little wireless speaker in your living room acts on your request to turn on your favorite song, there's AI working to understand your speech so it can then determine what you want to accomplish and then carry out those instructions. However, there's an argument to be made regarding how much AI should be deployed in our daily lives because in many instances, AI can present many ethical concerns, with these concerns disproportionately impacting Black and other marginalized communities. So for purposes of this presentation, let's think of these ethical concerns in three different buckets. So we have the privacy and surveillance bucket, we have the bias and discrimination bucket, and then we have the bucket of the role of human judgment. So debates about privacy safeguards and how to overcome bias in algorithmic decision-making and things such as sentencing, parole, and employment practices are by far now familiar within our industry and within the work that we do. But what I feel we have not yet dealt with is one of the hardest questions. And one of those questions would be, can the smart machines essentially outthink us? Are they smarter than us? Or are there certain elements of human judgment that is just indispensable to deciding some of the most important things in life, such as your liberty? Now, for me, I would say the latter. Some of those things are just indispensable. But we also have some who believe that we're overreacting, implying that the results of AI developed decision-making processes would be unbiased. But if we haven't learned anything over the past few years, which has been supported by the work of Joy Buolamwini, Timnit Gebru, Ruha Benjamin, is that AI replicates human biases. But what's more troubling is that not only do they replicate the human biases, it confers on these biases a certain kind of scientific credibility. It makes it appear as if the predictions of AI have some grand objective status when we know that that is just not the case. For example, we're already seeing how law enforcement agencies are incorporating facial recognition technologies into their body-worn cameras. We've already seen how the criminal justice system is using predictive risk algorithms to decide who should be given bail. We're already seeing how banks and financial institutions are using these algorithms to determine who gets approved for a loan. And we're seeing how AI in each of these areas are not 100%, and so much relies on what the AI, the outcomes of the AI. So algorithmic bias in these areas could then result in privacy and free speech violations. It could also reinforce the social biases of race, economics, gender, sexual orientation, and ethnicity. These are real concerns, and we need to take a step back and really think about them. So in saying that, what's the solution? What do we do from here? Knowing all of this, what do we do? I would say that while I don't believe that there is a one-size-fits-all solution to this problem, there needs to be multiple things, a mixture of actions from government, from the public, from industry. There needs to be different things that need to happen. But I can say that there are a few things that should happen that would move us in a more desired direction. And I would say, number one, there needs to be a push to educate our citizens on the pros as well as the cons of AI. AI does amazing things for us. We rely on it every day to make countless decisions for us. So it's not something that is bad, but as we continuously move into a society that is dictated and controlled by artificial intelligence, it's imperative that society is knowledgeable of not only about the benefits and what it can do for them, but also the legal and ethical implications that AI presents outside of the use that the citizens are essentially used to. But more importantly, I would say what needs to happen is that companies need to think more foundationally about the inaccuracies and the biases we see in the AI and the ethical concerns that it presents. This can be done by honestly, which will sound simple, but reimagining what diversity and inclusion looks like within their companies in every stage of development. When they're writing the codes, when they're writing the algorithms, when they're training the data sets. Bringing multiple backgrounds, ethnicities, races, religions together could only be a benefit. So essentially what I'm saying is that diversity and inclusion efforts will help mitigate the biases if it's done at every level. A lot of the times we see that we're already hired in low numbers at a lot of these companies. And then when they do bring us in, it's at the end of the process is when the product has already been developed. But bringing more people of color of different backgrounds in the beginning stages, the developmental stages, would definitely help to mitigate the biases that we see in AI. So all in all, what I'm saying is artificial intelligence is not inherently more accurate or less biased than humans, and how we treat artificial intelligence needs to account for this reality. And this is particularly true when the data that is being used already mirrors existing social inequalities. And having more people who look like me, as well as other people of color, I believe could definitely assist in mitigating the current biases that we see today. So thank you so much, and I look forward for our discussion today.